Welcome to Unraveling Midlife. I'm your host, Sarah Spence. Thanks for joining me as I explore my own astrological midlife by speaking with all sorts of inspiring people about their life and work. Astrological midlife relates to Western astrology transits that run from the mid-30s to the mid-40s for everyone. Each of the main midlife transits have an overall theme, though details vary by generation and, of course, by individual. If you're new to the show, welcome. You can follow me on social media as Sarah Marlowe Spence, and you're welcome to subscribe to the show, as well as provide a review on whichever app you're using to listen. Alternatively, you can forward a link with someone you might feel also would enjoy it. As a self-funded show without a marketing budget, your assistance in sharing is much appreciated. Today's show is a panel discussion with Levi Banner and Vasumi, recorded live at New Zealand Spirit South Island, complete with the soundscape of the river, cicadas, and a few breezy bits of wind. The three of us got talking after an astrology talk that Levi had held a week earlier at Soulscape, Soulrise Festival in Raglan, in the North Island of New Zealand. You'll hear more about each of Levi and Vasumi's specialities in the discussion following. Suffice to say that celestial bodies definitely play a huge part in life for both of them, even amongst the variety of hats they wear.
So here we are, recording live at the end of NZ Spirit South Island Festival with the stream in the background and the cicadas chirping, you may or may not hear. And I'm here with Levi Banner and Vasumi, and I found them at Soulrise Festival last weekend. We were at an astrology talk that Levi was giving, and Vasumi was adding in her flavour because she's also a facilitator of things celestial. And here we are. Maybe Vasumi, tell us a bit about what you do.
Okay, so what do I do? Wow. I work with the Mayan dream spell calendar primarily as a foundational metaphysical system. I find that to be the motherboard of all other metaphysical systems that I've explored over the since in my 20s. I'm now 61. So I work with that. I worked with astrology for the last 35 years as well. Western astrology primarily, and now I'm exploring sidereal astrology. I also explore human design and gene keys and basically all the magical metaphysical systems that reveal how consciousness flows through us.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Levi.
Hi everyone. I'm just on a tour of New Zealand here. I do many things outside of the astrology world, like DJ music and facilitate breath work. I was a yoga teacher for a long time. But in relation to what we're talking today, I am a teacher and reader for the Turning of the Ages Mystery School, which is quite an alternative version of astrology that utilizes the night sky, sacred sites visits, and has a very unique approach to a birth chart.
And I was quite impressed when you asked about the pattern at which a lot of people into astrology have that, and you contribute to that, right?
To what?
The pattern? The
pattern, absolutely, yeah. And a lovely, oh, hello. Yeah, we're at a festival,
yeah.
So. Yeah, the Pattern's an amazing app where you can get your kind of your chart read without even really knowing it's astrology, and see which cycles of life you're in. And yeah, I've done some writing for them over the past year or two. Yeah.
Cool. And so, Unraveling Midlife is kind of loosely based on astrological midlife. So I know I'm in the middle of those astrology transits. I believe, Levi, you're kind of close behind somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yet to know about the cycles I know about.
Yeah. And Vasumi, you said to me, I'm not sure if I can remember.
It was a wee while ago. I do remember looking and being interested at the time. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure once I get through them, I might not be quite so interested, but I can tell people a little bit about them.
Exactly.
Right.
At least your own experience, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone's is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on where the planets are in your relationship with those planets to other planets, and the whole.
What time you were born and
Yeah.
all that. What are your thoughts on astrological midlife?
Well, so full disclosure, I'm 41, and so I feel midlife. But I'm yet to go through the cycles in which we were discussing when we first met, that are what we call it is the midlife crisis cycle, because we have this Uranus opposition and the Neptune square that happen sometimes overlapping or sometimes one after the other, and it kind of can kind of pummel a person that's really quite rigid in their, a person that's just more used to things being clear from their day-to-day and planning and what their path is and their direction, and these kind of more, I don't know, Saturnian or Jupiterian things, and these kind of what we call upper world initiators, Neptune and Uranus, give more of a floaty, surprising, anti-planning kind of teaching. And so many people have, from what I understand, and from working with so many clients actually, is that they can freak out. They have a hard time. Things aren't working their linear version of life anymore, and so they often question their lifestyle and their career and their marriage and these kinds of things, and it can be quite unveiling and kind of pull the rug out or the path out from under them for questioning.
The one thing I took heart in is when last week when we met, I said, that Uranus opposition, which I kind of touched on a little bit last year, but it's full on for me this year.
Yeah.
And I was like, coping with that. I've heard that Pluto square that comes before the Neptune square, that if you have a difficult time with that, it makes everything else easier. And you said, I guess it depends how comfortable you are with Uranus.
Exactly.
If you've got it in your own chart. And I thought, yay! I mean, I'm just going to sail through. I've got like a great Uranus and great Aquarius in my chart, so woo!
Certainly.
Let's see. Check in this time next year.
Yeah.
Well, I've certainly got a pretty good Uranus, and I've lived pretty alternatively most of my life. I think it probably, when you've lived your life much more dedicated to pleasing your parents or the system, probably those are the people that it's going to affect the strongest, very Saturnine, people, I guess. But I have a strong Saturn as well, so I don't know. My life is always changing, and so. But yeah, I would say. Would you say, Levi, that would you guys think that maybe if people are walking a path that's a little more mainstream and rigid, that it might come more as a shock?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Uranus, shocking.
Things
Uranus
aren't as they
was
seem.
discovered when electricity was discovered. So it's electric in nature, and it's sudden and it's unexpected. So yeah, if you have a Uranus opposition, it's going to oppose your birth natal Uranus, and you're going to embrace the opposite of what you've embraced before, I guess. What do you reckon?
Unless you have an alternative lifestyle like you, right?
Yes.
It enhances it, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Uranus can be a expansion, a big it's like Jupiter times 100. You know, when a person is good with it when a person appreciates it, lives that kind of freedom of the unknown or the unexpected. And so it can be a huge expansion process.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Feeling it.
and Uranus is the higher. I've always thought of Uranus as the higher mind, and Mercury as the lower mind. And so Aquarius and Gemini, and so it's like the higher mind's capacity to, all of a sudden believe in Great Spirit, or I don't know, whatever is the opposite of whatever it is.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Uranus. Where's your Uranus? Just to do a Uranian kind of thing.
I'll be entering my Uranus opposition in 2024. Yeah. So I'm yet to experience that, but my Neptune square is close, very close. Yeah. There's a beautiful relationship with Uranus and Jupiter. There's basically, 7? So a Uranus cycle is about 83 or 84 years on average. And so that's, some astrologers consider that a lifetime. And it's almost exactly, I think, seven Jupiter cycles, which are about 11 and a half, 12 years, right? Does that math add up? Yeah, 7. And it's almost precisely exact. It's really close. So there's this incredible relationship between Jupiter's expansion and Uranus's even bigger expansion. So I resonate with the higher mind and its expansive nature. It's just more abrupt. It's bigger. A big abrupt change now, right? And that's not so comfortable for some of us.
Yeah, Uranus, wild.
Yeah, and you couple that with Neptune, which is like another heart opener, even more so, softener of plans and that linear function that we were talking about, the Saturnian stuff. It's just so fuzzy and dreamy and
the mystic.
Yes.
Yeah. The mystic, the Neptunian, the intuition, the unseen, the Piscean ocean of Neptune, King Neptune in the ocean.
Yeah. So the spiritual types are maybe more comfortable with this midlife crisis, quote unquote, than somebody in an office or corporate world. It's like,
yes.
Hey, what about spirituality? What about your dreams? What about your heart?
Not so much of the buying a new car to, satiate the something new.
That's yeah.
Yeah, it's really been interesting talking to people over the course of the podcast so far, because pretty much everyone seems to have had some life-defining change in their early 40s. And so I find that fascinating. And also it's quite fascinating finding out people's stories. And it's kind of fascinating being right here going, well, how's mine going to change? And so here I am making a podcast about it just to try and figure it out.
Well,
Mind.
I do like that technique of going with change and almost making it yourself, but also it's known to change what you're not thinking it's going to change.
Yeah.
It's like expect the unexpected, but that's expecting something.
Totally.
So you can't do that either.
I know.
And the things that you're really unaware of that are going to change, and you've got no awareness that even that was something that would change or could change. Or,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. It's a surprise.
Trippy in the middle of your life.
Yeah.
I remember one of my teachers telling me, well, you've got Uranus in Scorpio, which is in its strength. So Uranus will be in Taurus for your opposition, which means there's a lot of patience involved. And I'm like, oh no. Yeah. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
there's
patience.
in life.
Patience, allowing, opening up to what does change. Like rolling with the punches, they say. I don't know if that's a term here.
Yep.
Like just going with the flow. Basically, when something changes, it's, the more you stay attached to what's been changed, right? It's like that's where the suffering is. That's where the hard part is. But it's like, oh, that changed.
There's always
Now
change.
what? It's the only constant. Yeah.
And yet it's Uranus and Taurus, isn't it? So it's incredible dedication to change. Like a fixed, mind you, Scorpio is fixed as well, isn't it? But it's the fixed change. I'm changing and I'm going to make a podcast about my changing.
Bingo.
Solidifying change, right? Yeah.
Right. Giving it form.
Well, that's what Unraveling Midlife, that's the name of it, comes from the Brené Brown article, The Midlife Unraveling.
Oh, wonderful.
Instead of calling it the Midlife Crisis.
Yeah.
Used it
Yeah.
so
Much
much.
better. Much better.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've used it so much in my astrology class that
Yeah.
my teacher now refers to it as the Midlife Unraveling.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Love it. Yeah.
Yay, Brené Brown.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that amazing dedication to it that helps to change others.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
dedication to midlife unraveling has then helped to change others and set a course for something really different that's coming through your podcast.
And it was actually my human design reading, because I've got line 5, which is you impact people that you don't necessarily know. I'm like, okay, podcast seems like a good way.
Oh, so beautiful. Yeah.
And a line 1, so I'm researching.
All right. And then more about Uranus and Taurus is really nice to dive into that. Taurus being the Venusian and beauty and earth, and transforming the way you do those things, perhaps.
I guess Uranus and Taurus really relates to the festival, because we're on the earth in this beautiful, beautiful park.
Oh.
In Charteris Bay on the south side of Littleton Harbour near Christchurch, and we're pretty unconventional.
Yep.
Yep.
For New Zealand,
Yes, for New Zealand, you're right,
Yes.
because in a lot of other places this would just be kind of par for course.
Yes.
Yeah.
New Zealand being a Cancerian country, and really the mother and the nurturing energy that's quite deep and in, whereas you imagine the same thing in Australia, which is more a Sagittarian country, which is expansive and freedom and Jupiterian.
So for New Zealand being a Cancerian country, which chart do you, which date do you use?
I don't know, actually. I've just heard that it's I just, relate. I don't know which chart it is or how that's even said. I just relate to it. I heard it somewhere and went,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen a lot of Cancer in the charts. I've looked at a few charts for New Zealand because there's different dates, clearly.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to pin down a date, isn't it, for a
Isn't it?
country?
I mean, we don't know what time the Declaration of Independence was signed for the states, for example.
We do, but it was rectified by
Oh, it
there's a couple charts you can look at. Yeah, there's a rectified chart by Dane Mujar, who was one of the foremost astrology teachers back in the 70s or 60s. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, Dane.
Yeah. So there's charts we can draw upon, but it's always hard to really know when even a person is born, or when it was written, or when it's a really hard thing to pin down.
In the hospital.
Yeah. Maybe the clock was wrong. Maybe they took a couple minutes to write it. It's
And
the
also
thing.
that, when you're doing a chart of a country, is it like when this land rose up out of the sea, you can maybe make a chart for that, or make a chart for when people arrived from Rapa Nui from Easter Island, or was it when the colonization began, or what are you actually looking at in relationship
left Australia as the peninsula?
right.
If
Broke
that
off.
was even what
Yeah, I
happened.
think it was. I heard it was before
Yeah.
even. Yeah. So do you
Because
just
actually New Zealand's more closer in fauna and flora to South America than Australia.
Ah.
Yeah. Tasmania is more like
makes
New
sense.
Zealand, but
It really is.
yeah,
Just with the eucalyptus trees.
but the rest of New Zealand isn't like Australia. It's more like South America. They have the same trees and things. So there's so much we don't know, and we just all we don't know, which is so wonderful not to
great?
know. Which is very Uranian. We don't need, or Neptunian, we don't need to know. We just see what flows through in the moment, which is pretty much what we're doing, right?
Absolutely.
That's a way to navigate the cycles you're in at midlife, right?
Yeah.
Not needing to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting more relaxed with that now.
Yeah.
Especially when you get your Saturn return, you know, and then it's like what you knew, and then there will changes, and then you adapt new things, and then you know for a while until you don't know anymore, and then actually you get really freaked out by that, and then all of a sudden you start celebrating that. I don't know! I don't know!
Yeah, isn't it great?
Hallelujah! I wouldn't have a clue. Great mystery.
Life really is a mystery.
It is. And then of course then the codes, they just help us to navigate and have confirmation of what we're feeling inside. I think it's a lot about confirmation of giving value to our own experience. I think that's a lot how I see the codes helping when I work with myself and other people. Just confirming, having some knowing.
What do you mean when you say codes?
Well, astrological code, because I work with a lot of different codes. So codes, astrological codes, or Mayan codes, or human design codes. I just call them codes lately. That's the latest way that I'm kind of putting them all in one hat and saying codes, because they are codes really, on one level, from my perspective.
I can kind of feel like reality's not. I'm sitting here, I feel like I'm not really in the real world. I feel like I'm kind of in some kind of dream world right now. I mean, maybe it's the festival, maybe it's the nature of what we're talking about. I know that I facilitated a dream workshop the other day, and there was a guy who started telling us about his dream world and his lucid dreaming and his journeying, that he said, I live multiple lifetimes in one sleep, more than you would ever experience in this world. And we were all blown away by that, and I said, we look forward to your workshop on this topic. But it really puts things in perspective with talking about dream worlds, and then especially after a festival like this. It was very odd to turn the computer on for the podcast. But yeah, that line between dream and, I guess, quote unquote reality, the real world. Yeah. I mean, Vasumi, you facilitate a workshop that's about dream spells. What is a dream spell?
The dream spell is a name given to a calendar that comes out of Palenque in Mexico. It's a foundation of the Zolkin of the Mayan calendar. It was stored in stone from the 600s to 1952 for 1260 years, and then it was kind of like, you know, a hidden wisdom that had its own timing to come out, a bit like and Jose Arguelles is the guy that, you know, in Tibetan Buddhism there's this thing called the terma, which is a hidden knowledge, and the terton, which is the being, the person that is the unraveler of that wisdom that has been hidden. Just like Ra Uruhu is the terton of the terma of the human design that he received over 10 days. And I don't know if you've had the opportunity to listen to his rendition of what happened to him, but it's pretty incredibly wild. It's available on YouTube. Those guys were both born around the same time, and they also died around the same time, within a week of each other.
Oh.
And I believe that both those beings brought forward the systems that will help us to deprogram the colonized mind, so that we can actually live the new culture that we're here to live. So the Mayan dream spell is based on the Mayan calendar. when I was in Palenque, Mexico, I saw myself there in the 600, had a very strong experience of seeing myself in the 600s, working with that system, then teaching it. And this was after I had a big awakening in India. And then that I had in this life, the big awakening, that then I went to Palenque and saw myself there in the 600s with this contract to come back now and share these teachings. So so the Mayan dream spell is based on the Zolkin. It's a 260-day cycle, and it's measuring the pulses of light that emit from the sun. So it's not like astrology in that astrology is working with planets and space. It's working with the unseen world, the pulses of light that emit from the sun, and it has a particular frequency and waves of energy, and it's called the dream spell because it's spelling the dream, the new dream. And it works with wave spells, waves of energy and spells that are cast on the first day of a 13-day cycle, or a 13-moon cycle, or a 13-year cycle, or a 13,000-year cycle. And it's fractal in nature. It's radial time rather than linear time.
Wow.
Yeah. And it sounds
Totally
a little bit complex, but actually when you actually work with it, it's super simple. It's a very simple system. Yeah. But working with that and astrology is profound. Yeah. I find the more systems I work with, the more they all come from source, and they're just different portals and different ways of perceiving consciousness, and different ways that consciousness itself can communicate through the codes to us in the moment, whatever's needed to be spoken, whatever messages are there to. What would you say, Levi? Would you say, do you feel like the codes, you use them, the astrology, when you're doing readings, that if you read a chart in one moment and then you read the same chart in another moment, that different messages come through? Or
Certainly.
yeah,
You could speak about my own chart
yeah,
and how parts of it reveal itself to me as I grow and change and evolve. I have a Neptune example for that. Is that I have Neptune opposite my moon.
Me too.
Yeah. Weirdos. Yeah. So it just makes me more it's like a softer version of my moon, maybe more spiritual type or something. But it's out of sign. It's not. So I have Cancer moon. It's not in Capricorn. It's Sagittarius. It's the very end of Sagittarius. So for my interpretations when I was studying astrology in my much earlier years, I didn't really notice it as much. And I was speaking to just another astrologer one evening, and they, oh wow, you have Neptune opposite your moon. I was like, I do, like that. I don't know how I missed that. That was a pretty extreme example, but it starts to make more sense. It starts to take form more, because I feel the archetypes are, they are us. We're revealing it as time goes on, and so it's like we renew them. There's an essence there that's always there, but the content, it changes over time through culture and through place and through time. And so through you, the archetypes look how they do through you. Like you get to choose how they exactly are. You're inspired, you're maybe even influenced, maybe. It's revealed through you. Yeah. And it happens over time, certainly.
definitely evolved. I just realized I've got Neptune square my moon.
Ah, all right. So we're all Neptunian in a way. Yeah.
Well, no surprises there, right?
Yeah. Good to speak on this topic. Yeah. So does that mean my midlife unraveling is going to be easier?
Well, we create our own reality
There
to a
you
certain
go.
extent, don't we?
I don't know.
It's kind of like the
don't
awareness
know.
of it, isn't it? When you have the awareness of it, it's like in the Mayan codes, when someone is 26, they're embodying their exact opposite energy. And so I find when I get people before they're 26 to understand that, then they have less of struggle with it and they enjoy it more because they have the awareness of it. So
that is so useful. Thank you. I lived in an ashram the year I was 26. So that's the exact opposite then, because I spent some years kind of moving away from the strong yoga background, beating myself up and perceiving judgment from other people for moving away from it. But it makes sense according to that, and it also makes sense according to the South Node, North Node in my astrology chart.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of like the precursor to the Saturn return. It's like people talk about the Saturn return as being something really, but actually I really had a great Saturn return. I think when I was 26 it was more intense, and then by the time Saturn return came around 29, I mean there was an incredible breakup that was painful.
Me too.
Yeah, but it forced me out on my own, you know, my Saturn in Capricorn, to go and, you know, become independent, which was awesome. Yeah.
Anything big happen at like your Uranus opposition? Or that?
I've been contemplating that as we're sitting here, and I was going, maybe I moved away from my soul tribe at that time and kind of went off on many adventures independently after being very solidly entribed for quite a long time. That is my soul tribe that gives me the inspiration for doing what I do. I got very focused on my mission in the world. I was really willing to push all the boundaries of what had limited me before, and I just so I guess that's pretty Uranian, isn't it? Yeah, I just went for it. I organised a lot of tours for Jose Aguirre's throughout Australia and New Zealand, and I guess that's what happened.
Cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. Loved it. Yeah.
You're having a bit of a travel yourself, Levi, during yours?
I've shifted my life dramatically this last year, but that's more in relationship to about 4 years of Pluto cycles, which we won't get into this talk. But it is worth noting, Uranus has an erratic cycle around the sun in the solar system, and it's not totally erratic, but it's not perfectly circular, and it was a bit earlier. Like you get an opposition, Uranus opposite your natal Uranus earlier in life for those of you that were like 60s, 70s years old now, whereas if you're about that age now, like us, then it's going to happen a little bit later, like a couple more years later.
Astrology say, and it's when you're 42, but for some it was when they were 41. So for me, I'll be 44.
Yeah, exactly. It's we've been saying in our school for a long time it's like 39 to 41, but it's 38 to 42. But yeah, it's same with me. It's going to be 43, 44. Yeah, it's not going to get much further than that, but we're kind of at the edge of that. But that is worth noting. Yeah.
And it moves so fast. Like I've got friends 5 months older or 3 months younger, and theirs are done and dusted, and I'm like still waiting for my Uranus. I mean, it's all in perfect time. But
The way that we see a Uranus cycle, because there's so many ways to track cycles, is it can be either an 11-month cycle or a year and a half. All the rest of the cycles when we track, Saturn is always 9 months, no matter what. Human gestation, it's very clear, it governs time, it's simple. But Uranus can pass a point either 3 times or 5 times. And so it'll either be in 11 months, which is almost a year, or it'll be a whole year and a half of abrupt change, radical shifts, and moments that only happen once.
Speaking of abrupt change and radical shifts, I'm feeling my people calling me. It's been beautiful to connect. Thank you so
thank
much
you,
for
Vasumi.
inviting us and Levi
So
to
nice to
the
share
next
this.
place.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
What's
Been a blessing.
you've got a website?
Oh
Or
yeah,
how do people
it's
find you?
Time Waves, as one word, Time Waves, as in the ocean.org.
Timewaves.org.
Yeah.
Great.
And if you have any questions, just drop me a note. I'll be offline for the next month, but
Who knows
Who
when our
knows
listeners are listening to this?
okay, all right. Well, after the end of February, I'll be back online, so feel free.
Great.
Yay!
Awesome.
Bless. Thank you so much.
Happy
See you
travels.
guys.
Love
Bye.
you. Love you. See you.
Love you.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Awesome.
Have the best journey ever.
Yeah, you too.
Enjoy your Uranus return.
We're still going here though.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I love Vasumi. We've known each other for some years, ever since we did a trade of our skills in Bali. We knew each other from Bali.
Ah, right. Ah, neat. Oh man, Midlife. And what else are you up to coming up?
Yeah, I got a whole tour of New Zealand here, kind of festival hopping.
Your first time here?
No, I've actually been here a couple more times. I was but I was only in the South Island, exploring the nature. Actually, that was so incredible for me because I got to witness so much of the night sky from the so south,
Yes.
which I was very unused to. You may or may not know, it's all upside down in comparison to what we know up north.
I wrote that into a song lyric when I was living in Canada.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, everything's the other way in Canada from here. And I got to go to the Night Sky Reserve down here somewhere. And
Tekapo.
yeah, it's Tekapo. Exactly. I was like, there's night sky reserves? Wow. But yeah, this time I'm exploring more people and being at festivals and sharing more. So, yeah, I've just been finishing up a lot of recording for some online courses. We'll be launching 3 online courses this year. So just wrapping that up right now, and the first course will be starting in a couple weeks actually.
And who's that through?
Totems.
Totems?
Turning of the Ages Mystery School. It's Totems with an A. Turning of the Ages Mystery School. And that's the website. turningoftheages.com.
I noticed an email from them in my email the
Cool,
other day.
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's what Levi was talking about.
Exactly.
I was already on the mailing list, so yay.
Lovely. Yeah, it was previously known as shamanic astrology, and it's the whole paradigm that's woven into the pattern. And it's a system created by my teacher Daniel Giamario, who's been an astrologer for over 50 years, and it's kind of the third wave of his original vision to make all astrology land-based, like experiential, connected to the earth, and have the stars and cosmology part of astrology again.
Not just the planets.
Not just the birth chart that's on a computer,
Okay.
where you read the planets are there, but to actually see them in the sky and know what they're up to. Like each planet has a cycle that's very specific to it and unique to to the planet itself, and to experience it with our naked eye. And so we've had a lot, over the years. He's had many experiences at sacred sites and pyramids and temples, and the standing stones. It's been a huge inspiration for this body of work, and I've been so inspired by that. This last year I've been to all over Egypt. I was all over Mexico and the Mayan lands, like Vasumi was just talking about. I was at Stonehenge in UK. I was at some sacred sites in the United States, and searching for something special here in New Zealand. So yeah, just getting ready to launch a lot of that knowledge, and that's what inspires our the way we read a birth chart. So getting ready to launch trainings on how to read a birth chart through our system.
That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's a long time coming. because all the courses before were at special locations, like out in the desert or at a sacred site. Yeah, yeah, on the land with people.
I'm just remembering last week driving. And you're like, what's that star? I'm like, oh, it's probably a planet. It's really bright. And I'm, okay, well, the sun's just set. The sun is currently in Capricorn. And so this must be something that is just behind the sun. I'm like, I think it must be Mercury. And I've never seen Mercury, noticed it with the naked eye. I was like, hang on, we got told we can't see Mercury because it's close to the sun. I'm like, but surely the sun's just set. Should be able to see Mercury. So I Googled it. And I was like, yeah. And it seemed to me to be slightly yellow, like Mars is slightly red. Yeah, it was really nice moment because I noticed Venus. And I remember, you remember the Kermit the Frog song, the Rainbow Connection? And there's the line about when wished on the morning star. And I remember thinking when I was a kid, well, is that Venus? But then later I was like, hang on, Venus is the morning star, then it's the evening star. A little bit like Mercury, I guess.
So much of our sacred music, like Kermit, or our sacred texts, religious stories are a lot actually about the cycles of the planets. We just projected God and goddess, or queen and king, or some kind of heroic figure onto it. And that's what so we get to re-experience that when we really learn the nature of the planet and the way it's moving, and through the lore and myths of the stars. So yeah, I went to a lot of pyramids just to see how they were aligned astrologically. That's the thrill. It's like, what is this exactly east? Oh, it is. This must be a sun temple. Oh, look,
that must be so exciting.
It is,
I get that thrill. Yeah,
kind of nerdy and boring, and yes, very exciting.
But it gives you that kind of structure to your travels as well.
Yeah. All the other stuff is really just an excuse to get to sacred lands.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yes. I know you asked last week in your astrology talk about, or it came up, sacred sites. So someone was saying some in the North Island, and there were some in the South Island going through my head, going, well, wonder if you know of any in New Zealand.
Yeah, no. I've been. I'm yet to go to any. Yeah, and that was what I was asking the crowd. I would love to really connect with something, whatever, even if it's a piece of land, to the Maori.
Lots of people here have been, and they actually posted in the Facebook group pre-festival, recommending that we go to Castle Hill, which is about an hour from Christchurch, an hour and a half from here. And
what's there?
I haven't been yet.
Yeah.
It's something I hope to do on this trip. Yeah.
Castle Hill. I believe that's what my barber was telling me as we got into a spiritual discussion, as I do, about. I think it was Castle Hill that all the souls come and go from. I think is that the right one?
No, that would be Cape Reinga.
You're right. You're right.
North Island.
It's the top of the north, not the top of the south. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's where all souls in the world leave. He was saying, is that right?
I guess so.
Not even just New Zealand. Everybody goes.
I haven't heard that, but it makes sense.
Yeah. So Cape
Reinga. And you can go there and see the oceans meeting.
Wow.
So when I went to India, and they were like, this is where the three oceans meet. I'm like, where's the crest of the waves? Like at Cape Reinga.
It's not the same.
Yeah. No, Castle Hill is the place where my brief understanding is where the Waitaha people who were here before the modern day Māori came from the Pacific Islands. That was one of their sacred sites where the elders used to gather. And I've heard for years and years that it's a sacred place, and this is the first time I've come on a road trip since I found that out more than 20 years ago, that I've got the opportunity to go. So, yeah, we shall see. We shall see. And there's a very sacred, like Aoraki Mount Cook is the highest mountain. There's a really beautiful area if you go to Mount Cook Alpine Village and you take the Hooker Valley track, and I used to do it with Japanese tourists on my university job, so I always felt it was very special. And then it was where music started to come when I started writing music and everything. And when I went to the information centre, the Department of Conservation Information Centre, I saw a brochure and it showed a map of the very sacred dog cloak, the Tupuni area or dog cloak area, where if anything was going to be done to that area, it needed to be in consultation with the Ngāi Tahu elders. And it happened just at that point where I was like, the Second Spring Bridge, that's where it started. I knew that was where the special feeling started, and it was there on the map. And there's a whole heap of people that do a pilgrimage, not to Mount Cook because you need climbing gear for that, but there's one that you can see, that you can access directly from Aoraki Mount Cook Alpine Village, called Mount Wakefield, and there's people that they feel that that's one of the 7 sacred mountains of the world, and they do a pilgrimage there each year, but never managed to find out much more about it. I should Google it now that there's Google. It was a while ago. But yeah. Killer. Wow.
Well, grateful to be here on this land.
Yeah.
My friend is telling me that there's these like masculine and feminine mountains right here, and there's 7 smaller ones around them, and that represented the Pleiades. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's just right here where we are, like right now. Like, yeah, they're all around us.
I feel very dreamlike.
Yeah. And we're also in a volcano, so, no biggie.
Oh, that's part of the course in this one.
Got it. Such beautiful lands here. Yeah.
So your course is out in a few weeks, and that's available from the Totem website?
Yeah, turningoftheages.com.
Turningoftheages.com.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And so people can connect with you from there, or how do you?
Yeah, they probably better just to find me through Instagram. Just Levi Banner. Levi.Banner is my handle, and just follow me.
Okay. Thanks so much for your time, Levi. It's
pleasure.
been a fascinating discussion. I hope the wind wasn't too much for the listeners.
Right.
Check that out.
If they could only see where we are.
If you could only see and hear the cicadas.
Hopefully.
And the children playing in the river. And
hopefully you feel that out there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Unraveling Midlife is brought to you from Aotearoa, New Zealand by www.sarahmarlowspence.com. Theme music is by Sarah Marlowe Spence and Sarasvati Marie Willis, and art by Samantha Hepburn.